All right, good morning, trade pros. Welcome to our morning market update for Friday, December the 28th of 2018. This is George Pappas of Trade Pro Academy. The gentlemen of Trade Pro are also here, Marky and Victorio. And we got a great day for you coming up. We're gonna run the trade room today. We're gonna talk about the holiday calendar coming up and what you should expect. Some pretty historic moments here in the S&P 500 and why the Apple board is a terrible trading department. All right, Apple attempted to trade and lost $9 billion. We'll talk about that and more today. It's going to be fun. First, let's start with a morning market fun fact. On this day in 1967, after 175 years, the New York Stock Exchange admitted its first woman member, Muriel Siebert of Muriel Siebert and Company, joined the New York Stock Exchange. That's a fun little fact. And just a reminder, there's currently a female in the New York Stock Exchange, which is its role. It's diminished on the floor trading, but her name is Lauren Simmons. She's 23 years old and currently the only active female member and the youngest, I believe, to join New York Stock Exchange. That's awesome. So celebrating our Trade Pro ladies today, and I love to see that. I'd love to see more of it as well. Actually, at Trade Pro Academy, we have a really good mix, and I've talked to a few people in the business, and we got a better mix than most, and I love it. It's awesome. So when we make our T-shirts or when we launch our store in 2019, you better believe there's going to be some ladies Trade Pro apparel. In Asia, Japan's down 0.3%. Hong Kong's up 0.1%. China's up 0.4%, and India's up 0.8%. In Europe at midday, London's up a huge 1.8. Paris is up 1.7, and Frankfurt 1.8%. So huge gains across the board in Europe. In the United States, Dow's up 0.8% pre-market so far. S&P's up 0.8%. Nasdaq's up 0.7%. So we're seeing a gain here in equity prices across the board. I'll tell you why in a moment. Crude oil's up 2.2%. Gold is flat. Bitcoin's down 3%, but hanging around the mid 3,000s. 36.22 is the last quote. All right, 10-year Treasury yields 2.76%. So they're far below the 3 percentage point area. And that's on expectation that Chair Powell will be a little bit more dovish in the coming months out of the Federal Reserve. All right, today's economic calendar is very strange because we had a whole bunch of things coming out at 8:30. They're all canceled. Chicago PMI is coming up at 9:45. I don't know if it's going to be canceled or not. The government shut down. And the interesting part is I asked Trade the News if natural or the EIA inventories, the Department of Energy, the crude oil inventories that come out weekly. They're scheduled today for 11 a.m. I just checked the website calendar. It said they're scheduled. But if there's nobody working, who would cancel the schedule? And would that be a priority for them? So I don't know if they're going to report or not. However, we're going to assume that we're having a crude oil inventory day today. Very odd that it's on a Friday. It could happen once a year around the Christmas time, around the holidays. These are going to be statistics for data ending December 21st. That's the week ending December 21st. And because the holiday fell in between, usually comes out on Wednesday, it got pushed to Friday. And we're also going to see natural gas at 10:30. So we have two energy reports today that are going to be very important and significant. And at 1 p.m., we have Baker Hughes rig count. And at the same time, none of that could happen. I don't know. The government shut down. I don't know what to expect. And we're going to find out as those reports come out. How will I know? At 11:01, if there hasn't been any numbers squawked, it probably means there's no inventory report. But I will wait for it anxiously and anticipation until then. All right, roller coaster ride for Wall Street to end the trading year. That's sort of what's making headlines in the last couple of days. In the last 9 minutes of trading, the Dow Jones yesterday surged 850 points. And you guys know there's 2 hours in the stock market that's smart money hours. And this is where all the smart money is participating if they're going to participate that day. It's right on the open, 9:30 to 10:30. That's the initial balance. And the last hour of trade, 3 to 4 p.m., that's where the market on close orders are set. It's called the MOX. Yesterday, there was a huge buying balance on the MOC orders. And that, you could expect some institutional buying towards the end, towards the closing bell. But 850 points, that was huge. So it was a big rally, and there were a lot of market on close buy orders. However, there wasn't a lot of volume. It wasn't all that impressive considering the magnitude of the rally, which leads me to believe it's a short squeeze. So it's short orders covering their shorts. How do you close a short trade? You got to buy to cover. So buy to cover orders pushing markets higher. MOC's trying to get long to bid the market into the close. As we look to end the year, there's going to be a lot of institutional buying to ramp up the market to get a nice, strong close for 2018. It's going to be a negative close for 2018. I don't think we make up all lost ground for the whole year. So we're down significant amounts. But I think institutions are going to try to buy this thing up over the next couple of days. So look for early morning selling, and then late afternoon to the closing bell rips and rallies. That's what we've seen, and I don't think that's going to stop. I think we're going to continue up today. David Katz of Matrix Asset Advisor says it really well, that the market is now in a psychological frenzy. There's fear of the market going down, and there's fear of missing the rebound. And I think that's why you're getting this volatility. But I'll tell you this, whenever you have a year-end rally on low volume, and it looks like a down and bearish market, and we haven't seen this in almost a decade. I remember trading through this kind of stuff, and I'll tell you one thing that I know for a fact. When you see a nice rally like this on low volume, it's a real big temptation for institutions to offload some of their size to lock in a better return for the end of the year. You got 1 day left. You're like, I'm not going to gamble it. You get out there and dump some inventory. So watch for some early morning selling. I think this thing's going to get faded early on, and then pick up somewhere in the early afternoon and bid into a strong close. All right, which is what we've seen the last couple of days. So there you go. Merry Christmas, institutional traders. If you're looking to dump some shares, you got a great opportunity to do it. Almost 2,000 points off the lows. For holiday schedule coming up, futures, equity indices, futures close at 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday. So you're going to get a full day of trading on Monday. And then they reopen once again on January 1st at 6 p.m. Remember, futures work 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. from the Globex session. It's the first session that opens. That's overnight trading. All right, that's Japan. And then, or not Japan, Asia, and then Europe. So they're only closed really for 24 hours from 6 p.m. on Monday to 6 p.m. on Tuesday. So you can actually trade January 1st in the evening. I don't recommend it, but you can. All right. Stocks that are closed for January 1st all day. And yeah, that's that. Now let's talk about Apple. Apple is a terrible trader. If Apple was a trader, it would be a worse trader than you, because I don't know how many. I mean, I'm not saying you're a bad trader. I know a lot of you guys are great traders. But if you think about your worst trade ever and how much you've lost, Apple tops you. They lost $9 billion this year. All right. Trading, not the revenue. Huh? Yeah, like I'm impressed you could lose $9 billion. That's awesome. And the reason why is that they bought company stock, $9 billion loss, and that's what their book value is based on the share purchases. They bought as high as $222.07, now trading at 156. So you could see they really bought the top. And I'm going to give you two sides of the story. Side number one is that they lost $9 billion. If they purchased a company for $9 billion in start of 2018 and that company was worth zero today, there'd be a shareholder outrage. Like, what kind of stupid acquisition is this? Let's sue. Was there full disclosure at the purchase? Blah, blah, blah. People would be going nuts. However, they buy $9 billion worth of stock. They repurchase some of the share float. Yes, it makes your stock technically a larger percent of ownership because there's a lower share float. It also makes executives look good because they have bigger numbers to divide across smaller denominators. But the key here is that it's a misuse of capital. You lost $9 billion, and that's the downside of it. Now, I've emailed Tim Cook, so you guys don't worry. I've emailed Tim Cook this morning with the link to our YouTube updates, and they're going to turn around in 2019. I know it for a fact. I got to get Tim Cook to subscribe to Elite Membership, and it's going to be great. All right? Here's my take on this. Apple should stick to selling iPhones. They shouldn't trade. Spend some money on research and development. Build out some new products, which is R&D. And if you don't know what you're going to do with your cash, increase your dividends. But I don't think companies should be out there buying their stocks back. And I'll tell you something interesting that would really this is the big question for 2018. What would have happened if all these companies didn't buy back their own shares? What would the market have looked like? Because I think we're starting to see a taste of it now. And whenever there was a blackout for stock buybacks, the market dropped a lot. All right. And now companies are not buying back as many shares, and it's starting to drop once again. But imagine there wasn't a record amount of share buybacks this year. Imagine where the market would be. And I think that sustained this bull market. And I don't know that companies are going to continue to do that. They're going to get some pressure from the board. They're going to get pressure from their shareholders, and the board is going to have to make some tough decisions in 2019 on how they utilize some of this capital at Apple and other companies. Very interesting stuff. On the flip side, if you're the board of directors and you're saying, I've lost $9 billion, I've heard of this guy whose last name is Martingale. Should I just buy more? It's actually It's also the Georgian Gale, but it's not a Georgian Gale unless you get rid of your first position. So people understand. I have a strategy called the Georgian Gale where I try a long position or a short. I'll lose the first one. I'll get stopped out and try it again. And people laugh at me like, oh, Georgian Gale. But the important thing here is that you're taking a loss on the first position and you're giving it a second opportunity. You're not keeping the loser and adding more and adding more and adding more, because that only works until the one time it doesn't, then you lose every penny you own. Go look at averaging down on Enron. Go look at averaging down on Arthur Andersen. Average down on any company that's gone bankrupt, and you'll see your end result. And that's the problem with averaging down in one company. If you're doing a diversified portfolio, fine, it's a strategy. It's not an amazing one, but it's worked. And so it's a good passive strategy, though, I'll tell you that much. So to end this, I'll tell you this. Apple's been a terrible trader, and in 2019, it'd be very interesting to see what these big companies do with their share buyback and repurchases. As of 2018, we've had a record number of buybacks in the history of the market. So a lot of companies have put their own money to buy back their own shares. Will it continue? And if it doesn't, will it put more pressure to the downside? That's the big question for 2019, along with the Fed policy, all the other big stuff, obviously. But that's one other thing you got to add into your calculations. All right, that's it for today's morning market update. Look for some early morning selling, sell some rallies early on. And if there's a lot of upside, even on lacking volume, you got to capitulate and go to the upside. You can't keep shorting on a rally because this thing will tear your head off. Today, follow the 3 rules: trade smaller size, trade less often, take profits quicker, and you'll do very good if you just follow those 3 things. Remember, that's how pros trade in this kind of environment. In fact, most pros aren't trading today. You guys should know that. They're in Fiji. They're in the Maldives. They're out there enjoying their life. And they haven't even looked at a chart. Maybe on their phone as they're buying champagne. I'm not going to say the next part. As they're partying. All right, we'll see you guys later. Take care. Have an awesome day. We're back on Monday. I'm going to do a morning market update. The office will be closed. We're not going to have a trading room, but I'm going to pop in on Monday to say Happy New Year and Happy Holidays to you guys. All right. I mean, maybe we will have a trading room. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. But for now, it's a no-go. All right, we'll see you guys later. Have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your 2018. There's a little time left, and we'll have 2 great videos coming up on YouTube Saturday and Sunday, so stay tuned for those. Now I'm going to do a couple live streams as well. One of the live streams is going to talk about setting goals for 2019, how to do it the right way. Take care. All the best. We appreciate you. Manage your risk at TRADEPRO. All right, Trade Pros. I think this might be the last trading day for us in 2018, so let's make it a good one. Today's goal is not to make the most amount of money for 2018. That was last week on a single day. Today's goal is to just wrap it up slowly, put a little bit more green in the book, and shut her down. And high five one another. Celebrate 2018. All right. So let's get started. I'll give you some levels and what I'm looking for here on the S&P 500. I'll bring Steven to talk about oil, and Victorio, if he commences his office session at the moment, talk about NASDAQ.
15 minutes to the opening bell.
15 minutes opening bell. Let's get into it.
Earlier high still about 0.4% and getting a higher open. Crude oil futures up about 1% currently, just